It's no longer 95 proof. It no longer has a white label. It's no longer chill filtered. It's Jim Beam's brand new single barrel, and it's coming to you next on the Hillbilly Whiskey Show. Hello everybody, it's Will, and welcome to the Hillbilly Whiskey Show. I'd like to thank everyone for the tremendous feedback over the last few weeks. Go ahead and hit that like button. Helps us with the algorithm. Gets more eyes on us. Hit that subscribe button and go on that bourbon journey with us. Alright guys and gals, today we've got this Jim Beam single barrel, and I've actually been sipping on it here for a few minutes. I was really trying to have about 2 or 3 different tastes of it before I even shot the video. Really thought that might give me a little better idea of exactly the taste, and go ahead and start putting together some thoughts about comparing it to other bourbons. Obviously, Jim Beam went a completely different way with this. They revamped their single barrel. As I said earlier in the open, they got rid of the white label. It's no longer 95 proof. We're now at 108 proof. So we have a lot more flavor, and it's not chill filtered anymore. So, and you know, the label is kind of nice. I think it's an improvement over where they were at, and so we're gonna get into a lot of things in this video. Obviously, the taste and the nose and all that, price, value. This is a big topic with this bourbon. I don't know exactly how long it's been out. I don't know when the changeover happened. I feel like it was in the last 6 or 7 months. They started putting this bottle out and completely did away with the other. And from the information that I have gathered on it, there's no age statement, but from the information I've gathered is this is here to stay, and it's between 5 and 7 years old. And like I said, a lot of people have made comparisons to Baker's, which is probably twice the price of this, but a very similar proof. I think the Baker's is 107 proof. So I'll get into a lot of that. Like I said, I've sipped on it for a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and pour a little bit here. I kind of wanted to, I thought that when I did these videos, I kind of want to start having a little bit more of a predetermination as far as the taste, the nose, and everything, just so I can start talking about, okay, if we're going to compare it to this, compare it to that, compare it to different price points, I want to go ahead and get in my mind, because it's kind of hard sometimes just shooting the video live and everything just spewing right out off the top of my head. Sometimes it takes maybe a half an hour. Oh yeah, this reminds me of this, or this reminds me of that. So that was sort of the idea. But on the nose, you're getting, I think you're getting honey, you're getting vanilla on that, some oak there at the end. I can tell you it's still got that Jim Beam sweetness, and I'll go ahead and be up front. I'm a big fan of Jim Beam products, but usually not the Jim Beam brand, not particularly the white label, which is so popular. I've never really been a fan of any of them, even though I've got a lot of friends that like them. It's just not for me. But, you know, obviously the Knob Creek, you know, you've heard me talk about how much I love the Bookers. So, you know, Jim Beam itself as a distillery, I absolutely adore and think that, you know, they're one of the best out there. But as far as just the actual Jim Beam, the distiller's cuts and the different ones, I've not been a huge fan of. But after tasting this one, now my opinion has changed a little bit of this particular one. I believe, well, let me go ahead and get a sip here. So right off the bat, I get a lot of honey, vanilla, and then cinnamon. So there's where the comparison is to the Baker's. I think the Baker's drinks hotter. I do plan on getting a Baker single barrel review up. It may be a little while before we get to that one, because I've got several in front of it lined up. But I can see where the comparison is on that, with that sip, because I really do feel like the Baker's drink's hotter than this, even though this is 108 and it's 107. But I've been hearing a lot of people compare this to that. think the Baker's has a longer finish. This has sort of got a medium finish. A little bit of oak on the back. You're getting that honey. You're getting that cinnamon. You're getting that oak right at the very end on the finish. It sort of had like a medium finish to it. It was like a little hint of caramel too in there on the end, I thought. Kind of getting. And then the signature Booker's nuttiness at the end. And that was one of the things I was actually going to talk about is like when you look at the finish of this thing, it actually reminds me a little bit more of a lighter version of Booker's than it does, than it reminds me of the Baker's. Like with the cinnamon, with the cinnamon, honey, don't splash of water there. With the cinnamon of the Baker's and the cinnamon of this, I see a lot of similarities. As far as this goes, it's probably a little smoother to me even than the Baker's. But, if you like that warm finish, obviously the Baker's is going to give you a lot more flavor, a lot more polish going down. But it probably, more than twice the price or around twice the price. So that's the big differences. But right there at the end, when you look at that nuttiness that this has, it puts me a little bit in mind of the Booker's. Right on the very end, like I said, right on that finish, it gives me a resemblance of that, and maybe it's just a lightweight version of a Booker's. So that was something that I have not heard anybody else say. Now, that's the one thing about these single barrels is, the juices can be different from barrel to barrel. So no two barrels are going to taste exactly the same, even though they're proofed at the exact same point. That doesn't really mean that one bottle, you may get a bottle and I may get a bottle, and we may have two totally different. Because I've actually saw some other reviews where they got a really hardcore vanilla on the front, and I didn't get it as much on this bottle as I did. And I've heard a lot of people talk about the cinnamon being a little bit more powerful on the finish, and I got more nuttiness on the finish of this particular bottle right here. So those are some things that I had actually noticed up to this point of the bottle that I've been tasting on here, is that you're going to see some differences out there. So unfortunately, even though they're close and they're going to be, it's the same juice, just could be a slightly different variation from barrel to barrel. And I'll tell you that vanilla, then the cinnamon, then that nuttiness and the oak. I'm telling you, it puts me in mind of a lightweight version of Booker's. It really does. I've heard nobody else say that, but that is exactly what I'm getting. All right, so let's get into this. A $30 bottle in Kentucky. I've heard some people say it's maybe $45 down south. I haven't heard anybody say it's more than $45. So between $25 and $45 seem to be what I've heard. I've heard some people say they could get it at Kroger on sale for like $25.99 plus tax. So, I mean, to get something from Jim Beam that, from our understanding, is probably between 5 and 7 years old, at 118 proof, and it's not like the white label. Like, it's not going to come at you with like all that sweetness. It's going to actually come at you with a more balanced flavor profile. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Hillbilly Whiskey Show must endorse this bottle at that price point. And really, I would probably say I would give, even at $35, it's going to be a good value. Maybe at 45 to 50, it's kind of not. because you're not that far away from getting a Knob Creek, 120 proofer that's 12, 13, 14 years old. So, I mean, obviously at that point, I still think that Knob Creek is, especially if you can find some of those store picks, which were out everywhere in the marketplace. And even from my understanding, like from state to state to state, these things are everywhere. So this is going to be on your shelf. You're not going to have any trouble finding this. Like I said, for 108 proofer, that has comparisons to Bakers that other people have made, and I've made comparisons to Bookers, like a lower proof Bookers. You can't go wrong for $30. You really can't. It's a quality bottle. Like I said, I've not been a big fan of the white label. What was it, Red Stag or something they had? They've had so many different ones. Even the Distiller's Cut, I saw, some friends of mine really liked it, and I've had a few sips of it, and it really didn't overwhelm me. But this one here, I mean, for the money, it's probably worth keeping around. It's got a good enough flavor profile that, if you're keeping, 15, 20 bottles of whiskey around, at the price this thing is, this ought to be probably one of them. So, I mean, it's at least that good. It's not, I'm not going to lie to you and say it's as good as a Baker's, because it's not going to have that full flavor heat that the Baker's is going to have with that, that hardcore cinnamon on the end. I mean, it's not going to do to you what, the Knob Creek, is, all their versions, the 9, the 10, the 12, all those year bourbons. It's not gonna have the complexity of those, and it's certainly not gonna be as good as a Booker's. But it's when you compare it to other bottles on the market that are in a similar price range, then it's gonna compete really heavy with the best in its price range. So that I will say, I mean, when you look in that $30 range, $30 to $35 range, it's competing super well with all those, and that might actually be a really good one with the advent of so many new bourbons over the last 24 months that's gotten into this price range. That actually might be a really good blind test, because I've been trying to think of ideas to do a live. I've had to kind of delay that process a little bit because I haven't been able to get a set. The Corona and everything has sort of slowed down my ability to make this channel move and grow as fast as I wanted it to. So hopefully mics and a set will come in the future, and hopefully I can make an announcement about a live. And that was sort of the idea that I had for the first live, was getting everything between a $30 and $40 price point. Some of like maybe 6 or 7 of my favorites, and doing a blind taste on those. So that's sort of kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where we're going. Again, I'm Will. This is the Hillbilly Whiskey Show, and we appreciate all your support. I hope you've enjoyed the new Jim Beam single barrel today. But coming up next on the Hillbilly Whiskey Show, we're going to come out firing Sazerac Rye, straight rye whiskey. Now, this isn't one that you're going to find on every shelf out there. It's one that I am really looking forward to. It took me a little while to find this one. So, Sazerac Rye, it's going to be our first rye. That will be the next video here on the Hillbilly Whiskey Show. Really looking forward to tasting this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to stick around for that video. You'll be notified when it comes out. Go ahead and hit that like button. Again, like I said, it helps us with the algorithm, gets more eyes on us. But if you hit that subscribe button, that little bell down there, it'll notify you whenever the Hillbilly Whiskey Show puts out a new video. So again, like I said, we appreciate all of you. You might as well go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You ain't got nothing to do. Quarantine ain't over yet. Matter of fact, down in Florida, they just closed all the bars back down. So if you're down in Florida, you want to have somebody to drink with, you might as well fire up the old YouTube and come on back and check us out again. Again, I'm Will, and this is the Hillbilly Whiskey Show. And like I said, we appreciate all of you. And next time, it'll be Sazerac Rye. Y'all have a good one. Appreciate you.